What's up, Michigan State fans? It's Jacob Kotsunick here, back for another episode of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. This is the podcast for Wednesday, December 10th, 2025, and we're going to talk some hockey today. Talked a lot about football, basketball. There will be plenty of times to talk about that, but I think today's a good day to kind of sit back and kind of focus on maybe the third most popular sport here at Michigan State, and it's really the team that's the best that the athletic department has to offer at the moment, and that's the hockey team. They're ranked third in the country right now. The Big Ten's the best. They're only behind Michigan's still number one. Wisconsin's number two. I'd flip them if I had a vote personally, but that's how the rankings are right now in the USCHO poll. It's pretty close between Michigan and Wisconsin in the rankings, but alas, that's how it is. They're 12-4 on the season, a 5-3 conference mark, and I think they're still behind again, Michigan, Wisconsin. In the chase for a Big Ten championship. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second, but still, I think you have to look. We're going to kind of talk about the season as a whole right now. Just do a quick recap, because I think a lot of people are so focused on football and the beginning of basketball season that they kind of forget about the beginning of hockey season, because it starts really early. First game was on October 9th, and you kind of forget about it during the non-conference action. But they're getting into the midst of things with the Big Ten race. They're only going to have two non-conference games the rest of the way. That's going to be after they get back from break. Shortly after Christmas on December 28th, they play Ferris State in their first Great Lakes Invitational game. That's in Grand Rapids, probably Van Andel, I'd have to imagine. And then they play Miami, Ohio, or Michigan Tech. I'm 95% certain in the second game, depending on how that game goes and if they beat Ferris State or not. Loser plays loser, winner plays winner in the championship. After that, it's all Big Ten. And again, the Big Ten is a very, very, very good hockey conference. Again, it's Michigan, Wisconsin. Michigan State is 1, 2, and 3 in the conference. You got Penn State at 9. Let's see. Minnesota, actually, there's only, excuse me, there's only, actually, I thought Ohio State was still around the poll somewhere. Doesn't look like they are anymore. So I guess it's kind of a more top-heavy conference this year, but you got Ohio State and Minnesota's usually really good, but they're really having a down year. Yeah, they're 8, 10, and 1, which is unusual because usually you can rely on Minnesota, given how much they care about hockey, to be in that top 10, top 5 area. And Notre Dame's bad most of the time, and they're bad again. This year, Michigan State has already played them and swept them on the road relatively easily. The Irish are 4, 11, and 1. But just do a quick recap of the season so far. Started with a heartbreaking loss to New Hampshire. Lost by 1 goal. It was at the very end, just like a buzzer beater. Basically, it wasn't like as the buzzer. It was like with like 5 seconds left. Just kind of crazy stuff because Michigan State was at or near the top of the polls. They might have been number 2 to start the season, maybe number 1. And then they go out and lose a home game to open the year to New Hampshire. And you're like, because it's like, it's early in the season, it's hockey, weird stuff happens. But you lose to New Hampshire, which isn't the worst team to lose to, but when you lose at home, it's like, let's see what happens. Michigan State's very young. We were thinking, okay, maybe this is just some growing pains. And that's what it appeared to be, because then they immediately had a real nice win streak. 9 games in a row. After that, they won the next game 2-0 against New Hampshire. They swept Boston University on the road. Boston University was number 1 at the time. One of those games was on national TV. They haven't really lived up to the hype. They're down at number 20 in the latest rankings. Swept Northern Michigan easily. That's what you should do. Penn State came into town. That was a big one as well. Gavin McKenna, the future number 1 overall draft pick in the NHL. That was a sweep as well. Game 1 was in overtime, too. That was really loud at Munn. Then they dominated Game 2. That was right before they played the men's basketball team played Arkansas. 5-0 blowout, total shellacking. That was a big-time performance. Swept Notre Dame, as I said, on the road easily. What you should be doing if you're a national title contending team. The toughest series of the season so far was the sweep to Wisconsin, or getting swept by Wisconsin, I should say, at home. Munn Ice Arena, again, it was another big series. Wisconsin was top 10, I believe, at the time. But you get swept at home, that's always a bit of a bitter taste in your mouth. Wisconsin's now number 2, partially because of those results. So that's one that kind of put Michigan State in a hole in terms of the Big Ten standings that they're going to have to climb back from. But we'll see what happens there. easy sweep of Colgate at home around Thanksgiving. And then the big one most recently, we'll talk a bit more about this, was the Michigan series. Got dominated game one at Munn. Just looked very uncharacteristic. You never really saw uh, the Spartans really get any good looks. Like, they got shut out 3-0 in game one. And there might have been 2 or 3 times in the game I thought they had a real chance of scoring. Just not many scoring chances at all, and that's partially to the credit of Michigan. They've got a great goalie too, Ivan Kovic, but their back check in that game was really good as well. Couldn't watch game 2 as closely because I was still writing after the result. It was the same day as the Duke basketball game. I was still writing a bit. I kind of had it on. Couldn't watch as closely, but I was able to watch enough that you could tell they were playing much better, even though that game was in Yost as well. They looked much better. They were down 1-0 after the first period, but they definitely looked like the better team. And hockey's ran enough. You can be the better team and lose. And then they kept it. They kind of kept at it, second and third periods, and they broke through. They finally broke through towards the end of the second period. It was Anthony Romani actually scored like 2 goals, one in the second, one late in the second, fumbling over my words. Anthony Romani scored 1 goal late in the second, and then got another one late in the third. It's about 3 minutes separating those two that put Michigan State in front at Yost. Again, this is one of the biggest probably the biggest game of the season for Michigan State to this point. They're coming off a loss to the rival. You have the chance to go earn the split on the road, keep yourself around striking distance in the Big Ten title race. Sorry, you might hear a glitch here, but a bit of a technical malfunction there. But that was a really, really big win for Michigan State. The defense, was able to keep Michigan off the board. Again, Augustine was huge in this game as well. I think he stopped 29 of the 30 shots he faced. And Porter Martone had an empty net goal to seal the game at the end. And that was a very, very big result moving forward for Michigan State, and to get one going into the break. That's big. Again, I think the schedule is going to be a bit lighter for Michigan State towards the back end of the schedule. They've only played one of their 4 series so far has been against one of the 3 teams in the Big Ten that hasn't had a great season. Again, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Minnesota are a clear bottom 3 right now. And they've only played one of those 3 teams in a series once. That was a road game at Notre Dame, 2 road games at Notre Dame. Once they get back into the swing of things, you don't really see a brutal stretch the rest of the way where you're playing Penn. They haven't really had a back-to-back. They're not really going to have back-to-back series against great opponents yet. It happens once where they play at Penn State, and then have another Michigan series where it's at Yost, and then the duel in the D in Detroit. That'll be a really big one as well. But it lightens up, I think, a little bit. You come back and you play Ohio State on the road. You should be able to win there. Wisconsin on the road is going to be real tough. Minnesota at home. Again, we can go back and forth here, but the schedule's not that bad. Again, partially because usually the Big Ten is you're going to have like 6 teams. 6 out of the 7 teams in the conference right now are like legitimate tournament teams. I don't think you're going to see that this season because, again, Ohio State, Minnesota, Notre Dame have just not looked very strong to this point. So there's going to be a very clear gap between when you're having these big series against Penn State, Michigan, Wisconsin, who you're going to get a crack at one more time in a series through the rest of the year, but that only is 6 of their remaining games. So other than that, there's going to be some good chances for Michigan State to rack up the win total here. But again, going through the Big Ten standings at the moment, Michigan State's in 3rd. You still control your destiny and everything this early. 5-3 conference record, 15 points. Wisconsin's in 1st right now, 22 points, but they have played 2 more games in the conference than Michigan State has. So if Michigan State were to win their next 2 Big Ten games in regulation, that's 6 points. It's a 3-2-1 system in the Big Ten right now. That would put them 1 behind Wisconsin. And again, when you eventually get another chance at Wisconsin, you can really make up ground in a hurry. Right now, they're 5 points behind Michigan. You win your next 2 games. If they make up those 2 games by winning their next 2 in regulation, you're ahead of Michigan now. So it's right there. They've won back-to-back titles. And again, I think so much about this season is going to be preparing for March when you're in the NCAA tournament, because Nightingale's done a great job here. There's no doubt about it. He's gotten them those Big Ten titles, regular season and tournament, but you're still waiting on that Frozen Four banner. You've seen the Hobie Baker banner go up with Isaac Howard. Jeez, imagine if they were able to keep him. But still, it's going to be about getting them ready for that single elimination thing. Again, I think a lot of the focus this year has to be in those game ones. I think they've been fine in that regard, though I do think they've been better in game twos this season, definitely. So you'd like to see maybe that trend flip. I think that's part of what's going to make Michigan dangerous, is they've tended to be really dangerous in those game ones. There hasn't been so in game twos. But when you get to the 16-team single elimination tournament in March, there isn't a game two. You get one shot, and that's what it comes down to. So that's going to be the big thing for Michigan State this year, is like if they lose in the first round again, they get upset. There's going to be a narrative that forms, and rightfully so, because Michigan State has blown chances at getting to the Frozen Four. They lost to Michigan in the Elite Eight 2 years ago. Like, that hurt a lot. And then you go next year, you're a number one seed, and you get bounced in the first round. Who was it, by Cornell? Like, yeah, that's a pretty unceremonious way for your season to end. So we'll have to see what happens. We're a long way from that. But until next time, though, thank you again for listening, whether you're on Apple Music right now, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you very much. Once again, though, I'm Jacob Katzanik. You get all of our written content here at Spartan Nation, at SpartanNation.com, or Michigan State Spartans on SI. I'll see you guys around.